Welcome back, trainers, to the wonderful world of competitive Pokemon. In this video, we'll be doing a quick overview of, competitive Pokemon. You want to be like this guy right here. Yeah, that guy. You know, gonna have to learn a thing or two before you can get to that point. Now, I'm not saying you'll get to that point. Maybe you just, want to crush your friends or teach someone a lesson. This guide is here for you, whether you be new, old, or just someone that needs a little brushing up on your competitive knowledge. This could be you right here. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what the competitive Pokemon scene is. I mean, it isn't just about catching every Pokemon known to existence. I mean, what are we at? Over 1,000? uh, Besides that, it's all about training, strategy, and building the right team. You got to use all your skill, all your knowledge. Otherwise, someone's just going to beat you out. Let's start with team building. Team building, what does that mean? That means selecting 6 Pokemon to bring with you. When you choose them, you want to make sure you choose the right abilities, the right types, because that can affect how your strategy plays out. I mean, if you have no strategy and you just have a bunch of OP Pokemon, someone, a little more strategic can take you down pretty easily. And then there's also items to consider. Certain items do well with certain types of Pokemon or just strategies in general. Now let's touch a little bit on types and weaknesses. Super important. Basic understanding of types and weaknesses is crucial before you start just filling your team with a monotype of Pokemon. You can't just have just water types, fire types. You want to mix. You want to mix it up a little bit. Understanding Pokemon types and their weaknesses is crucial. Water beats fire, electric beats water, and so on. Knowing types matchups is the key to victory in most cases. Moving on to movesets and abilities. Each Pokemon has a unique moveset and different abilities that they can have. Not every Pokemon can learn every move. If that was the case, then you would just run legendaries with the moveset you want, Certain Pokemon learn certain type of moves by breeding, certain ones you can only get by events. Same thing with the abilities. You have to choose the right moves and abilities to exploit your opponent's weakness. If you can do that, then you're one step closer. Now that you've selected your 6 Pokemon, movesets, and abilities that you want on them, let's talk a little bit about how to get those Pokemon. Oftentimes, you're going to think, oh, I just trained to level 100, right? That's all I got to do. No, sir. You're going to want to back up just a little bit. Let's start at the beginning. Now that you've selected your 6 Pokemon movesets and abilities you want on them, let's talk about how you get those Pokemon. Most Pokemon, you're gonna have to breed and train yourself. And by training, I don't mean you just level it to level 100 and then it magically becomes perfect. No, it starts with breeding. Now, this is going to depend heavily on which game you're playing, whether you're playing an older game or the most recent game. The main takeaway from this is EVs and IVs. IVs are individual values, EVs are effort values. IVs used to only be controlled by breeding. So you'd want a perfect IV Pokemon, say a Ditto and a Pikachu. It's not guaranteed that you'll get perfect IVs, but it does increase the odds. Now with more modern games, there are certain items that can help you change this, but they used to be permanent. So again, it depends what game you're playing. Effort values, on the other hand, are something you can control a little bit better. Back in the day, I do remember you had to battle specific Pokemon for certain EVs. Like if you wanted an increase to your defense stat or your speed stat, you would battle certain types of wild Pokemon for those points. and there were items to help you increase those points. EVs and IVs come into play when it comes to comparing Pokemon. Now, while you may have the same matchup, a Charizard on one side and a Charizard on the other side, their EVs and IVs could be completely different. One may be more bulky, may be more of a special attacker, or vice versa. I may just look at putting out a breeding guide for Scarlet and Violet, but if you have any questions about any of the older games, about how to breed in them, the most efficient ways, or maybe you're just stuck on what kind of items to use, because you do use items in breeding as well. So let's talk about items. Items have a huge impact on battles. Sometimes you may get the same two Pokemon facing off. One may be equipped for one situation while another's equipped for a different situation. It's never the same. And if it is, there's still EVs and IVs. But items. Let's talk about things like Choice Band, Leftovers, some of the commonly used items. Choice Band. I mean, it boosts your attack at the cost of only using one move. This, of course, only applies while the Pokemon is holding the item. It could get knocked off, then you lose that attack boost, but then you gain the ability to switch attacks. Leftovers. Leftovers give you a little bit of health at the end of each turn. So if you're right at red, or you have a bulky Pokemon, you just want to stay alive because it's doing the work, then you want to slap leftovers on it. There's many different items. The items have increased through the generations. Some have been removed, new ones have been added. There's a whole laundry list of those things. So you'll want to kind of look at the most commonly used. There's a reason they're commonly used. We talked a little bit about events earlier, competitions. There's different formats to these. So that also affects how you should team build, what kind of items you use, all that good stuff. I'm talking singles, doubles, VGC. These are different formats with different rules. Of course, singles means you're only using one Pokemon at a time. There's doubles. You use two Pokemon at a time. And then VGC. There's also online battling. I may upload some videos of that. I do enjoy online battling. I haven't done much of it in Scarlet and Violet, just because I've been doing the raids. But that is something to look into to kind of test your skills. Tournaments and championships, I mean, they start at the local level, regional level, and even global. Those are the top tier players. You should try your hand at it sometime, especially if you're interested in competitive Pokemon. You never know. You may come home with a trophy. If you're having trouble knowing where to start, don't worry. I got you. There's plenty of websites out there that provide all kinds of information. I'm talking what items do, how to breed, what breeds with what, things of that nature. There's also sites that tell you what the most popular Pokemon are at the moment for competitive battling. And there's even websites that let you test out your team before you make it to see how it does against other teams. So don't get discouraged. There's plenty out there to help you. With all that out of the way, in the world of competitive Pokemon, knowledge, strategy, and dedications are your greatest allies. Train hard. Think smart. Who knows? You may be the world champ someday. I mean, you never know. So are you ready to take your first steps on this epic journey? Become the Pokemon master you were meant to be. Stay tuned for more competitive Pokemon tips and strategies. I'll be uploading a few more videos just diving into each one of these points and giving you just a little bit more information. Any questions you have, feel free to leave them down below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.